Hi everyone, welcome to week 4. Wanted to take a few minutes to review the homework assignments. The first spreadsheet I have up on the screen is W4A1, which is the budget writing template. The budget writing template is identical to the one that you're seeing in restaurantowner.com. The one in restaurantowner.com looks exactly like this tab. I've added a few other tabs to explain how to use this one and to give you some information so that we can sort of create this fictitious budget, so to reinforce how budget writing works. Obviously, this isn't a perfect assignment in that you don't really know enough about the restaurant to write a real budget, but I think what it does for you is it brings you through that thought process of, wow, these are all the things I need to know to make a reliable budget. These are all the moving parts. I have to do my research. I have to understand what's happening both internally in the restaurant as well as externally, not only in your neighborhood where your restaurant's located, but also what's happening externally in the country, in the state. You know, what is the economy? What's going on? All of those things impact the budget numbers that you're going to put forward. As we discussed in this week's lesson, a budget is nothing more than a projection of both revenue and expenses. The reason you would write a budget is because it sets goals for the management team and it helps you manage your cash. In the absence of those, it's hard to create an incentive program for the management team, and it's hard to have those benchmarks that say, hey, you guys are doing a good job, or you're not doing that. You're not doing a good job. So let's take a look at how this works. So the first thing I'm going to ask you to do is go to the instruction tab. The instruction tab gives you some internal and external considerations for this restaurant. So, you know, we're going to take a look at it. We're going to say, okay, because we know this, and this, these are the decisions that we're going to make. That information is on this first tab. The second tab is the sample out of restaurantowner.com, and it shows you what the budget looks like when it's completed. So that gives you some idea. As Stephen Covey would say, begin with the end in mind. This is what a final budget would look like. This is the blank that you're going to be filling out. You're going to be writing a budget for 1 month for this fictitious restaurant for the month of January. One of the prime indicators of performance going forward is the past is an indicator of the future. So one of the tools that I've given you, besides in the instructions telling you what's happening both internally and externally, if you go to the actual performance tab, you can see the P&L from the year, the last previous year that this restaurant, the last January of this restaurant, the January before that, the January before that, and the January before that. So what I'm giving you is 4 rolling years worth of January so that you can see some trending patterns. Those trending patterns should help you make some decisions about what's going to happen in the future. So this is, you know, again, it's sort of this leap of faith where you're going to kind of, and it's very much like when you were doing the staffing guide. You're going to put some numbers out there based on the limited amount of information that you have. So we have 4 years worth of trending on the actual performance tab. In the instructions tab, we have some external considerations right here and internal considerations. Between those two pieces of information, you're going to make some guesstimates on the budget for the month of January. And again, you do not have to fill out all the tabs. We're only focusing on the month of January. When you're through with that, you need to tell us 2 things. What were your assumptions? You know, so if you're assuming that sales are going up, what did you base those assumptions on? If you said that food cost was going down but beer cost was going up, what did you base those assumptions on? These 2 questions here, what were your assumptions and what did you learn from the process, are the 2 most important things that we're going to be looking at when we grade this assignment. There's no right answer to the budget. This is the part that tells us whether or not you got it. So make sure that you spend some time and give us some detail on this particular tab when it's submitted. Okay, so that's W4A1. Let's take a look at W4A2. W4A2 we're going to be doing a theo cost, meaning that we are going to be calculating, in theory, what this given menu with this given sales mix during this given period of time is going to cost this restaurant. So what I did is I downloaded some data from Sweetwater's restaurant and I inserted it into the worksheet. So basically what you have here is you have the Sweetwater's menu listing every menu item. This tells you what the menu price is, Theo cost, meaning this is what the recipe costs out to for this given month. This is how many we sold. You're going to write a formula to calculate what the total theoretical sales are. If we sell one harvest tortellini at $13.50 and we sold 354 of them, what are our total sales from that menu item? You can definitely write that formula. It's very similar to what we did in week 1 with the menu mix. Theo cost us $4.72 to make that harvest tortellini. We sold 354 of them again. What is in theory, what is the cost percent from this one menu item? We can take the individual cost divided by the menu price, or the total cost to produce it divided by the total sales. Either way, you will get the same percent. Down the bottom here, we're going to total these numbers up. What's the total sales from this menu for the month? In theory. Doesn't mean you collected all that revenue, but this is what it should be. What's the total cost to produce this menu for the month? And what's the total cost, Theo cost percent? When you get to this column, be careful. Don't add or average the Theo cost for each individual item. Make sure that you take the total cost for the whole column and the total sales for the whole column. That's going to give you a theoretical cost. There will be a few questions on this worksheet on the quiz for week 4. So this is pretty cut and dried. There's no moving parts on this. It's easy to correct. You're going to come up with a percent and it's either going to be right or wrong. W4A1, very ambiguous in terms of what that answer looks like. We'll be looking at the at your analysis and what you learned from the activity on that one. Any questions, concerns? Give us a yell. You will see on this week's quiz that there are 3 manually graded answers that refer to theoretical costs. So when you submit your quiz, don't have a heart attack if your score's low. Your score's low because we have to go in and actually manually grade that short answer question that you're going to write. All right. Questions, comments, and concerns, again, give me a yell or a facilitator, and have a good week.